After just 3 episodes aired, NBC expanded the new sequel series Quantum Leap from just 12 episodes to a full season of 18, and a second season was just greenlit for the fledgling show. The success of the new series is due in part to its ability to maintain strong tonal connections to the original program while tweaking its style just enough to satisfy a modern audience. With the reboot continuation series returning after a mid-season break, here are all the connections the first half of the new show has to the original series, or at least the ones that we spotted. Halfway through its first season, NBC's newly revived Quantum Leap has already shown that it's deeply in sync with the series that first got the time travel ball rolling. While physicist Dr. Sam Beckett, played by Scott Bakula, did the leaping in the original show, which ran from 1989 to 1993, the current series finds physicist Dr. Ben Song, played by Raymond Lee, time-hopping to put right what once went wrong. Though the cast is all new, a big reason for the thematic continuity stems from the makeup of the new show's creative team, which once again counts original creator Donald P. Bellisario and producer Deborah Pratt among its executive producers. But the ties to the original are beyond thematic. The plot structure and characters of the new show also closely resemble its predecessor in the best possible way. Each episode is a self-contained story, with Ben solving different chronological errors by leaping into various bodies. The latest incarnation of the tale, however, also follows a story in the present timeline that is woven throughout each episode, beginning with the very first. In the opening of the new series, we find Ben at a party celebrating his engagement to Addison, played by Caitlin Bassett. There, Ben receives a series of texts from a mystery woman telling him that their window is closing. Ben rushes to Project Quantum Leap without informing his colleagues and makes an unauthorized time jump. He awakens in 1985 as an undercover cop trying to stop a plot to steal the Hope Diamond. Time travel, however, has rendered Ben with amnesia. He doesn't know who, where, or when he is. So when he meets Addison, who appears as a hologram, he fails to recognize his fiancée. And it's a secret that Addison is forced to keep, since Ben's time travel intentions are still unknown. In the first episode of the original series, Sam also leaps suddenly and without notifying his team. Likewise, when he awakens in the past, he can't recall anything. And as with Addison, when Al, played by Dean Stockwell, appears to Sam as a neurologically rendered image, Sam does not recognize his best friend. In an effort to help Ben understand what is happening to him, Addison shows Ben an image of Sam, with the detail that longtime fans of the show already know: Dr. Sam Beckett never made it home. Meanwhile, in 2022, the new Quantum Leap team tries to figure out why Ben leapt and how to bring him home. But complicating matters is a large amount of new code that Ben uploaded into the project's AI, Ziggy. Herbert Magic Williams, played by Ernie Hudson, the project head, deduces that Ben's mystery partner is Janice, the daughter of Al. Yes, that one, who was turned down from joining the project. Janice's involvement is uncovered because they see a ring in security footage that belonged to Sam's hologram friend. As the team uncovers this, we're shown a pic of Dean Stockwell as part of Al's file. In a nod to the actual death of Stockwell, who passed away in 2021, Al is shown to also have died that year. The episode is also dedicated to the late great actor. Although we learn about the duality of Janice's character as quickly as we learn of her existence, her name gives an on-the-nose hint of her true nature. As the Roman god of transitions and dualities, Janus, spelled a little bit differently, is portrayed with two faces, one facing the past and one facing the future. He also holds a key in his right hand, which symbolizes his protection of openings between spatial boundaries. In ancient Rome, the symbol of the key also signified that a traveler has come to find safe harbor. 2 episodes from the original series play an important role in Janice's life. In Season 2, Episode 22, MIA, Sam leaps into a man in 1969 who just so happens to be in the same town as Al's former wife, Beth, played by Susan Dial. Presuming Al to be dead after having gone MIA in Vietnam, Beth moved on and married someone else. The timing of the jump gives Sam a chance to alter her life and tell her that Al is alive. And though Al tries to guide him on that personal mission, it's not the actual reason they're there. Ultimately, however, Sam decides not to interfere in Beth's life for fear of changing their own timelines. Al gets a second chance at a happy ending, however, during the series finale. After landing in a coal town, Sam chats with a mysterious bartender played by Bruce McGill, who may be God. Sam comes to realize that he is controlling the leaps himself. So the reason he's never been able to leap home is presumably because he's been subconsciously choosing to continue setting right the wrongs of history. There's still work to be done. Sam also gains some invaluable new abilities in the finale, learning how to control his leaps by choosing where to go, and also leaping as himself instead of into the bodies of other people. He uses this new skill immediately to set right one of his greatest regrets. He leaps back in time to tell Al's wife Beth that her husband is indeed alive and will return home from war. We're told in a final title card that Sam's change worked. Beth never remarried, and Al and Beth go on to celebrate their 39th anniversary. We're told they also have 4 daughters, one of whom must be Janice. The second episode of the new series, Atlantis, sees Ben leap into David Tamura, an astronaut aboard the space shuttle Atlantis in 1998. Ben remembers that David was one of his childhood heroes, triggering some of Ben's other memories. Ultimately, Ben's temporal journey has him rescue his fellow astronauts, Jim Reynolds, Max Everett, and Samantha Stratton. Meanwhile, in the present, Magic contacts Al's widow Beth in an attempt to locate Al's rogue daughter Janice. In the 2-part premiere of the original series, Sam lands in 1956 in the body of a test pilot named Captain Tom Stratton. Sam manages to save Tom's life when his test flight malfunctions, but it turns out there's a second mission on that leap. He also has to save the life of Tom's unborn daughter. In a climactic moment, Sam uses his future medical knowledge to prevent the child from being stillborn. When Sam asks Al what becomes of the family he just saved, Al reveals they named their new baby Samantha Stratton, the very same name of one of the astronauts Ben helped rescue on the new series. Now, it could just be a fun Easter egg, but it could instead hint that Ben's mission somehow is related to Sam's effect on the timeline, and maybe the Stratton family has a larger role to play further on into the future. In the very least, it's the second time the Quantum Leap project has saved Samantha Stratton's life. This episode also marks the return of Beth Calavici, who we last saw in the original series finale, and once again, she's played by Susan Dial. And what is perhaps the most subtle of Easter eggs, Beth appears to be proficient at working on cars or whatever she's doing here, whereas the fact that she couldn't change a flat tire was a pivotal plot point in the original series. In the 3rd episode of the new series, Somebody Up There Likes Ben, Ben leaps into Danny Youngblood Hill, a prize fighter in 1977, the day before his bout for the World Middleweight Championship. Danny's distraction is his trainer and older brother Daryl, a Vietnam veteran suffering from PTSD. In the present, Magic reveals a call from Beth, who informs him that Janice contacted her and stole artifacts from the original project that Al had in his possession. And in a breakthrough, the Quantum Leap team learns that Ben's leaps were planned. It seems he's slingshotting himself through time to gain enough speed to fling himself, they believe, further back in time than he'd normally be able to travel. And they've deduced it'll take between 10 and 20 leaps, or perhaps 18 if it coincides with this season's finale, for Ben to reach this mystery spot in time he's targeted. In Season 1, Episode 4, Sam also leapt into a boxer in the 1970s. There, Sam had to learn boxing quickly to win a bout to save a chapel. Janice pays a visit to Beth's house to catch up with her mother, but her real motive was to access some files and artifacts her late father left behind. It turns out Al held onto one critical souvenir from his tenure at Project Quantum Leap 1.0, the chunky, brightly lit hand-link device that allowed Hologram Al to access information and relay it to Sam in the past. It's one of the most recognizable pieces of sci-fi tech from the 1990s, and Al would famously bang it with his hand whenever Ziggy was acting up. In the closing shot of episode 3, Janice is seen tinkering and charging up the hand link, and she seems to be constructing what looks like it could be her own imaging chamber. Quantum Leap's time travel was originally anchored by the lifetime of the leaper. In Sam's case, that meant that he could only leap between 1953 and 1993, although there were 2 exceptions caused by errors with the project. First, a lightning strike swaps Sam's bodies with Al's, causing Al to leap to 1945. Because science fiction in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, more on that one later. The other occurred when Sam leapt back to the Civil War in 1862. That was possible due to a close genetic link to his great-grandfather. Ben, on the other hand, has no genetic links to the young boxer. Therefore, since Ben has leapt to 1977, a time before he was born, Quantum Leap has now broken a rule established by the original series. Ben's first leap into a woman is into a bounty hunter in 1981, Los Angeles, in episode 4 of the current season, A Decent Proposal. After fixing what once went wrong in this timeline, Ben leaps into the Old West, but not before he remembers he has a relationship with Addison. In 2022, Magic reveals to Ian, the Quantum Leap Artificial Intelligence Chief Architect played by Mason Alexander Park, his own past as Leapy in Quantum Leap. Magic recounts the time that Sam leapt into Magic in Vietnam, and that Magic restarted the project to honor Sam and, if possible, bring him home. In the 2-part opener to the 3rd season of the original series, Sam leaps into himself as a 16-year-old, getting to see his late father and brother when he's still a teenager. Much like Al in MIA, which I mentioned earlier, Sam is tempted to alter his own timeline. He warns his brother that he will die in Vietnam a year later, but his pleas are dismissed as nonsense. As the episode ends, Sam leaps into the Vietnam War, embedded in the same unit as his brother Tom. Sam takes over a soldier named Herbert Magic Williams, as we mentioned, and saves his brother. Unfortunately, it comes at the cost of an embedded photographer who joins the mission. The 4th season of the original series kicked off with an intriguing twist, one that I alluded to earlier. In The Leap Back, Sam and Al swap places thanks to a well-timed Back to the Future lightning strike. Al leaps into a soldier who returns home to try and reunite with his lost love. You'll recall that's a story very personal to Al. Meanwhile, Sam is bounced back into the hologram imaging chamber in the future of 1999. When Sam arrives home, his memory returns, bringing with it Sam's knowledge of his wife, whom he had forgotten while leaping, and as with Addison, Al had never told him about. In the 5th episode of the new show, Salvation or Bust, Ben leaps back into 1898 in the Old West into the body of an aged ex-gunslinger, Diego de la Cruz. Before Ben leaps from this timeline, however, he and Addison are surprised to encounter a man in the town who calls Ben by name and warns Ben to stop following him. The appearance of another time traveler, a menacing one, calls to mind the evil leapers of the original series. First introduced in Season 5, Episode 7, these time hoppers were part of a sort of inverse quantum leap project, a secret organization that sought to put wrong what once went right. Regarding the possibility of seeing evil leapers in the new series, showrunner Martin Garrow teased, "You just might." The Mirror Universe Quantum Leap project was run by Lothos, Ziggy's evil counterpart. Unlike Ziggy, Lothos seemed to control where and when the evil leapers leapt to. It's also implied that Lothos controlled many leapers at the same time, although it's also implied that the leaps are at least partially controlled by some other entity, presumably the devil. The original show goes some really crazy places. In the new show, based on the mysterious leaper's threat, it seems he believes Ben is in control of where and when Ben leaps. In Episode 6, What a Disaster, Ben leaps into John Harvey in San Francisco moments before the real-life 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake that famously interrupted the World Series. In 2022, the team tries to figure out the identity of the mystery leaper encountered during Ben's previous leap. After some research, the team concludes Leaper X may be a time traveler from their future, one that may have originated from Project Quantum Leap itself. This leap was actually the original story for the pilot, before they reworked the episode order and reframed the premiere episode around a heist story. The original series also often grounded itself with real-world events. In Season 2, Episode 11, the true-to-life 1971 San Fernando Valley earthquake plays an important role in solving a mystery and revealing that Sam had been working with a ghost. Speaking of the supernatural, in this season's Episode 7, O Ye of Little Faith, Ben leaps into a priest who has been called to perform an exorcism on Halloween night. Although the episode is more Agatha Christie than Stephen King, there are many homages to classic horror films, and we're not going to get into them here. But the episode itself is also a throwback to the first run of the show. It continues a tradition of delving into spookier stories during the series' Halloween episodes. In this one, the explanation for the apparent possession is ordinary, but the original show did veer into the supernatural during the October episodes, including one in which the devil impersonates Al, the devil, and another in which Sam leaps into the body of a real life, or real death, I guess, vampire. In the mid-season finale, Stand By Ben, Ben finds himself in a daunting life-or-death situation when he leaps into 1996 and helps a quartet of teens escape an abusive youth camp. The episode opens with the teen shouting, "Ben, come on," to Ben. For a few moments, it seems that Ben may have leapt into a younger version of himself. You'll recall the Season 3 opener of the original show saw Sam leap into his 16-year-old self. That episode began in a way very similar to this new one. And in the insane series finale, Sam makes his first leap into himself. That is, current age, as of then at least. On the day of his birth, and maybe even at the moment of his birth. I mean, the series finale is really insane. This is only just one of the crazy details of that episode. In the current show, however, it's quickly revealed that Ben has simply leapt into another teen named Ben. The title of this episode, Stand By Ben, may be an homage to the 1986 coming-of-age film Stand By Me, which also followed a group of misfit kids. The title of that movie, however, borrows its name from the 1961 hit song by another Ben, Ben E. King. Unlike the previous 7 episodes, we don't see where Ben leaps to next. Instead, Ben promptly disappears after fulfilling his current leap. At the end of the original series finale, we also don't see Sam leap. Instead, we see the familiar blue glow engulf a photo of a young Al, and we're left with a title card, one that misspells Sam's last name, indicating that Sam never left home. Of course, we never saw Sam again. Unlike Sam, Ben has returned. Thank goodness! The latest incarnation of a time-hopping physicist is back after what seemed like a super long mid-season hiatus. But there you have it. Those are all the connections, Easter eggs, call them what you will, that the new show has to the original series. What did we miss? What do you think of the new series? Let us know in the comments below. Set right what once went wrong, and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Listen to our podcast, full episodes, 1980s Now. It's available everywhere. There's even some links down in the show notes below. Thanks for listening.